All
Yes.
right.
Are we out?
Yeah.
Adam's saying,
Is that our staffing trigger because we're showing up late? Yeah.
Adam's saying, this is the Black Magic support channel, right?
Yeah.
My DaVinci Resolve is crashing
man.
whenever I create a multicam clip. Well, I can tell you how to resolve that. No pun intended.
No multicam.
Don't use multicam. You've only got, how many cameras are you working with? Just lay them out in the timeline and use the blade and cut them.
I just want to say hi to Chuck, Nathan Ballard, Dom is here, Elliot Cox is here. I know I'm skipping some, but those are
Sierra
some
Tango.
specific shout outs I wanted to make. Yeah.
We got a new Patreon supporter.
Oh, yeah. We've blown up their mailbox a little bit.
If Sierra Tango only says things that start with S and T, that would be,
yeah,
that would be the real genius there.
I would be super impressed by that.
Let's wait. Do we have our things set up yet?
Over 1080.
Hold on.
Yep.
Is this 153?
It is 153.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, you change that. I'll get the the stream going, the intro going.
All right. Let's do it.
Welcome to the Midlife Pilot Podcast. What is it like to become a pilot in midlife? The challenges are unique, but so are the rewards. Hosts Ben, Brian, and Ted talk learning to fly, growing as pilots, and the joy of flying to destinations. The purpose of the podcast is not to teach, but to share knowledge and experiences. You definitely should not take any advice too seriously from an aviation podcast that uses terms like icing on the vegetables. Okay, checklists are complete. Let's get the show started.
Hello and welcome to the Midlife Pilot Podcast, where we share the experiences and challenges of flying in midlife. Episode 153 tonight will be a whiskey a go-go information whiskey tonight. With me as always, it's my friend Brian in Nashville. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. Excited to be here, and I like our rotation of the every fourth episode being information whiskey, because it feels like that's about the stamina that we have for being even remotely formatted or regimented in any way.
Yeah.
And so it's nice to get to this one where we can just kind of hang out. So I'm just glad to be here.
Glad to have you here. Joining us as well on the West Coast, it's our friend Ted in Portland. Good evening, sir.
Hey, I'm glad to be here. I'm sure the audio audience can hear after the time change. It is dark here. It is,
as reflected in your camera.
Exactly. It's just amazing the difference of losing an hour at this time of the year when there's not much light in the evening. So glad to be here, though.
Glad to have you. Tonight, we're going to be talking about a bunch of different things. But first, we have some pretty big news.
Big news.
Yeah.
Big news. We have scheduled, or we have set on a date and a time and a location of our next Midlife Pilot Podcast fly-in. It will be the Thaden Invasion, is what we're calling it. Bentonville, Arkansas. Kilo, I know you're not supposed to say no to Kilo, but Victor Bravo Tango is the airport identifier. We are currently working on putting an itinerary together. No, I would say itinerary. That's not fair, but we're making plans. Is that fair, Brian?
Yeah, we still stand by our cooperative spirit of you can come and do whatever you want, but this is what we're doing. So, but yeah, the Thaden Invasion. I mean, it rhymes. I mean, come on.
It does. And it's Thadenville for those that aren't familiar with the area. Accommodations, there's it's Bentonville, so there's your choice of hotels. It did not take very long for me to find an Airbnb for us. There's a lot of them. Some of them are close to downtown. Ours happens to be right in the middle, right halfway in between downtown and the airport. And this is premeditated. It's a 1 mile walk to the brewery, and it's a 1 mile walk to downtown.
Nice.
So I thought it did pretty good with that. I was pretty proud of myself, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Pretty great. And so, thanks to those who suggested Bentonville to us. That was sort of what pointed us in the direction when other plans were not taking form in the way that we had really thought. And man, but this is I love the fact that it's a little bit more northerly than Texas was earlier this year. So there's going to be maybe more people from the Midwest contingent and such that can make it down. And I think this time of year is going to be perfect. I think about the scud running that I did in Arkansas earlier this year, and I think it'll be a little bit better than that. And maybe even by then I'll have my instrument rating. So Bentonville's a really cool place. And Ted, you had kind of alluded to some of this earlier, I think on the last episode or the one before. But not only is the field house there just outrageous with a really great restaurant and all kinds of things going on the field. The game birds there. There's a bunch of really cool things going on there. But in terms of Bentonville more broadly, here's the thing. We're smart enough to know that this should be not just a thing that aviation nerds would like to come and commune with us, but spouses need to be able to go and have something to do that's not aviation nerdery. And so Bentonville is loaded actually with some really cool things to do, which is awesome.
I've mentioned it to a couple of friends outside of my aviation circle, and they were very quick to come alive when they said how cool the downtown area is. There's museums down there that are very well done. I think it was Cool Springs Museum. A friend of mine was trying to tell me. I think that's what it's called. Ted, you may know.
Yeah, that's the American Art Museum. That it's kind of in a canyon. It's this park with art surrounds it. The whole thing is huge. It's a cool place. I really enjoyed spending a morning there.
Yeah, so it's not lost on me. I get more and more excited the more and more I hear about it, and like we may go a little bit longer. I don't know, just to go explore the area.
So that's the other thing. So you got Fly Oz, you got all the Fly Oz destinations. There are so many amazing for anybody that's flying backcountry planes. Pretty much one of the best places in the country to do backcountry flying. And a lot of their destinations on their map that are very well done on their Fly Oz website. It'll specify, backcountry versus actually totally fine also for single engine, airplanes. So go look and see it all. Like, there's some amazing, really, really cool fields to go and land at. So we'll get the quote unquote itinerary together. We'll let you guys know what we are doing. And we would be, I think it's probably important to also mention that we will be recording a live episode of the podcast at Thaden Field somewhere in Bentonville, somewhere. It might be a street corner. It might be a hangar.
Could be in a brewery.
It could be in a brewery. It could be anywhere. Don't know yet, to be determined. But we will be there. Brian Drennan is asking, did I miss the date? We will be there March 13th through the 15th, 2026.
Yep. That's a Friday through Sunday. It may be spring break with your kids. It may not. You may not have kids, I guess, so it doesn't matter. But
or maybe a spring breaker that never stopped spring breaking.
Exactly. So March 13 to 15 in 4 or 5 months. That's gonna be cool. I've got to
already counting down. And Brian, thanks for asking, because I think it's going to be hard for people that are listening to the audio only version to see our screen. So let's say it one more time: March 13th through the 15th in 2026. Please put it on your calendar. Come out and
that airport is Victor Bravo Tango.
Yep.
That should be a good reminder of what we're talking about. The main airport is right there. It's a few miles away, and that is XNA. That's Fayetteville. It's really in Bentonville, but there's so many little village names there. So XNA, if you want to fly commercial in, I mean. And the other thing that area is known for is it's kind of the mountain bike capital of the middle of the country, I guess. I would be thrilled if if there was a crowd that went out mountain biking. I'm not saying I'm joining them, but it'd be cool to see, that's the kind of thing this can be, right? It can be flying. It can be go somewhere you haven't been and go have fun, find some people and gather together and do something. So
Yeah, there's a Frank Lloyd Wright house
Yep.
there. There's architecture, there's art, there's mountain biking, there's flying, all kinds of really cool things. And go look at the airport too. It's really
yeah.
out. I mean, Flying Magazine did a piece on this airport saying it's the coolest airport in the country. The field house building and facilities and everything, the design, it's so beautiful. It's so cool how they put it together, and it's got a very distinctive circular parking arrangement in the front, and there is a grass strip as well as a asphalt strip. So really something for everybody there, and I think that was a lot of what the draw was for us to do this. Plus, I think it's cool because I don't think. Well, no, Ted, you've been there, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So Ted, you just pretend like you've never seen it before, and then Ben and I have never been there before. So to be, I like when we're all sort of there discovering a new place together. That was one of the fun things about the Texas adventure we did. So, very cool stuff. I'm if anybody has any, friends that run rental car businesses in Bentonville, Arkansas. If you have any contacts there, or if you have any insights there, or any
A brewery with a large patio, like the kind of ad hoc gathering that we like doing.
Yeah.
That is one of the things we really liked about Texas was being at the airport, and that is something that is pretty unique to Tango 82. And we would have loved to find that elsewhere, but it's all about trade-offs. And this is an example of one where the airport is amazing. The area has plenty of things, and we're going to be spread through the city in Airbnbs and hotels and whatever. So, it's whatever. Everything's different, right?
Yeah, but not dealing with, Nashville traffic or, Atlanta this or, it's a very manageable, easy to get in and out of by any means kind of place. And so there's all of that. Go look at the website of this airport. And you'll go, oh yeah, let's do that.
I put on request to have a tiki bar built outside. So, I don't know if that'll happen or not, but
Yeah. Maybe
in the parking lot or something.
Yeah, we should have one of those everywhere we go.
Or maybe we can find one of our attendees will stay at an Airbnb with a tiki bar at it.
Yeah, and while we're not really in the business of putting on any more programming than just doing a live podcast, which is honestly a massive amount of effort on its own, we're kicking around the idea of maybe having some let's just say instructor-led value perhaps preceding the podcast, and we'll just leave it at that for now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this will be a developing story, but go ahead and mark your calendars, March 13th through the 15th, 2026. And we're sorry we couldn't make it work for everybody. It's just one of those things where it's, you pick something and then, that's what it is. So if you're going to miss this one, it's okay. We'll do another.
And we got a few other suggestions in the inbox, and they're very worthy suggestions. It's just this one came together pretty nicely and conveniently, and maybe we'll start exploring other parts of the country in future years.
We had this in the past with an event last year where kind of our attitude, and this comes from Brian, but Ben and I are kind of with this too, but it's like sometimes you just don't want to force something when it doesn't seem like it's working out. And this is an example of one that everything kind of started coming together. And it's like, great, let's go where the energy is and with what works. So,
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
No reason to force something that wasn't going to work out or to try and invent a new place to go.
All right. Very good. Anything else, boys? You want to talk on that matter?
No, I'm just excited to see everybody there, and it's been really cool to see as we've been doing these on an annual basis to see the people that continually have been able to make it. So if you've made it to the last one or two, well, then you have to come to this one. So
Yeah, you're obliged to.
Yep.
We'll probably build out an RSVP form, y'all, I'm throwing this out at y'all. We didn't talk about this before, but it would be nice to be able to get a head count. So all that will come later, and we'll be talking that up here a little bit. Brian, why don't you go ahead and, if you don't mind, would you take care of the housekeeping, belly scrubbing stuff?
Yeah, we'll hit it real quick. Gosh, we just had a. I don't know. Well, actually, no, I can't even say it here on the live podcast. What we actually just got done doing, because that has to be a surprise, right? Okay, so never mind. All right. Anyway, hey, at least I caught
Ed
myself.
knows what
right?
you're talking about, but I don't. So
Okay,
well,
even better.
Too.
Even better. No, I mean, like one of us screws up something every episode where it's like you're not supposed to say that, or you weren't. That's a.
Yeah, but that's Ben's job.
That's exactly what I was about to say. I'm thankful it's not me.
Yeah.
You can join our Patreon community for Discord access and lots of exclusive content. So many check ride debriefs, so many amazing pieces of, long form, very valuable content on the Patreon. And look, our friend One Dull Geek, whose son just passed his private pilot check ride. I want to say congratulations to him again. And then also there is a check ride debrief coming, a father-son check ride debrief. So, we're going to watch that like a car accident. It's going to be.
Oh no, I'm going to be on it, and I'm going to learn more about One Dull Geek in that hour than I have the past 7 years that I've known him, or however long it's been.
Yeah.
It is going to be illuminating. So anyway, that's why you should join our Patreon. It's just to figure out what's One Dull Geek's real story here.
Yeah.
Like, why does he only eat Hungry Man dinners? Or whatever it is. I don't know. There'll be some weird thing. All right. 10% supports Freedom Aviation Network's anti-human trafficking efforts. For everything Midlife Pilot Podcast, feedback, merch, and more, visit midlifepilotpodcast.com. The shirts have been doing really well. Thank you guys we don't make anything of any real note on those. We keep the prices very low for the shirts and a lot of the merch. And it just cracks me up to see. I love that the isms of this podcast have made it just onto shirts on a lark and then have become things that people are wearing.
Hey, this is going to come back during the show. So
it
make
is?
sure we don't forget about that. Yeah.
Okay. Because
I
the idea that
actually. Yeah.
the idea that people are walking around with shirts that say I flew all day and landed at the same airport. But anyway,
Always fuel.
midlifepilotpodcast.com.
Very cool.
Excellent.
Ted, we got quite a few new Patreons over the last week. Do you mind helping us out with that?
Yeah. I want to thank the people that have joined us. I want to thank everyone who's in here. Let's not forget everyone else.
Yeah,
but
everybody.
To our new people, at the Hershey Bar level, we have Andy and Babs. I think it's mostly Andy, but Babs is a middle school teacher, so she's joining the crowd of spouses that are middle school teachers. Go figure. We also have Sierra Tango, who is also in the chat tonight, and we have Patrick L at Taco Truck. Sorry, I have to say that now. And we have Michael R at the Beast Stole Kit level. We have Michael W. Thank you all for joining us, and quite a few of these people have dropped into Discord already, and so we've gotten to know them, which is really cool. In our Discord accomplishments bucket this week, I wrote down some of the things that I saw in there that I really liked. First of all, Gary in Colorado soloed and shared a picture of his shirt tail cut off. That's always awesome to see.
Was that the one where he was standing in front of the school or whatever, had a massive whiteboard with all of the? Yeah, I thought that was such a. I was like, why don't all flight schools do that? It's really cool.
Brilliant.
It was really cool. Gary's been with us for quite a while, so I'm really happy to see. Really happy to see that.
Congrats.
Dominic, my fellow Portlander, solo to 172. And this is a term that I've been using, and it sounds silly, but for a sport pilots who haven't been able to fly other planes, really this is flying another plane. There's no sign off required. There's nothing else as a sport pilot. It's getting checked out on it like any school would have you do. But it's a big deal for the sport pilots who we've never seen a back seat in an airplane that we flew. So that's it was really cool to see. I actually was flying past the airport he was at when he was about to roll out in that plane. So I was listening to ground to see if I could hear him, but I missed him. So Scott, speaking of two-seaters, Scott used to have a sport cruiser, and he upgraded to a DA40, and he shared a picture of his accomplishment, which is flying with more than one passenger. So similar to the sport world, I guess it's as a light sport aircraft owner, no matter what your license, you still can't fit more than one person in a two-person plane. So it was great to see that. Intellectual name joined us in Discord, passed their IFR check ride, and thanked
That's
Mark
awesome.
for all the debriefs that have gone up.
Well done.
And finally, Yankee Delta had their first logbook entry, and they shared a picture of the flight path. And so it looked like it was a good discovery flight, and that's just so cool to see. Really happy to see people that are early in their training joining us in the community.
Can I say,
that's what it's all about.
that is something that I had forgotten about, but I absolutely remember when my first instructor wrote in that first logbook entry. It was a pretty special moment.
Yeah.
And I love that he called that out, that this was his first entry, because
Yes.
that was a big deal. That is, to me, you're started on the journey. You are officially there. And thanks for posting that. I appreciate that.
Yeah. That's what it's all about. We're so happy to see those.
Yeah. Well, also, I appreciate very much the breadth of experience levels of people that listen to this podcast, the people that really know what they're doing that still listen to us, and then the people that are just starting out or thinking about flying that we actually might have some kind of valid information for. But I just, it's just a nice reminder that we are definitely here for the people that are just on the fence, kicking this idea around. And if you're needing a little bit more certainty or a feeling of some sort of camaraderie, so you're not living in your own head about it all, to consider undertaking this endeavor, we are here for it. So, always a reminder, folks, please send us your feedback, send us your thoughts, tell us your stories. And when you see airline pilots, or people that are very experienced, being so excited about anybody's first solo or anything, that should tell you that there's something very special about aviation, where no one forgets those impactful first steps. So
Yes.
yeah. So yeah, congrats to everybody. I mean, we got first solos, we got first fake solo. It's awesome. So please continue to flood the Discord and our message inbox with all these things, because that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Very cool. You guys been flying at all?
Done it a little bit.
Yeah, I was just going to go ahead and tell everybody, learning new planes is my little subtitle today. I unfortunately I'm switching flight schools. The one that I was at, the plane is having continuing maintenance issues. The instructors are fantastic. They really are. I enjoyed flying with both of them. It's just it's taking too long, and I have found an accelerated course, which I will be going next week. I conveniently scheduled it around the podcast, so I don't have to worry about that. But I will be flying a BE-55, a Beechcraft Baron. So, a lot of the emergency procedures, the flows are going to be the same in the plane that I did. But yeah, so that's going on. And then I did a fun flight. I know Wendell Geek's been down there. And yes, thank you for blaming my curse on this.
Mark, Wendell Geek said,
Yes.
Man, Ben, how many twins have you killed now? So,
Yep.
yeah.
One, or two really, but And I warned this flight school of what my record is, so I hold no responsibility. They know my curse, and they still agreed to accept me, so that's on them. But I did do a fun flight. My youngest child, Evan, has been bugging me. We hadn't gone flying in a while, so he said Terry was out doing things with her mom and her sister. So I said, "Hey, what do you want to go do?" He said, "Let's go flying," and took him down to Jekyll. I hadn't landed at the airport. You know, it's right next to St. Simon's, but I haven't landed there yet. And he and a friend, I picked him up at their school down in Cochran, Georgia, 48 Alpha, and flew down there. And they, I know One Dog Geeks talked about this, but they have red bugs. They're like electric cars, little golf carts, really. They're about the size of golf carts, but they have windshield. They're street legal, actually. And they only go about 25 miles an hour. And, you know, for $15, you can rent it all day long. And so we went and grabbed some lunch, hung out at the beach a little bit, and then flew them back and came on home. So
That's
it
awesome.
was a lot of fun. It's a gorgeous approach, just like St. Simon's is. It's just, you know, the Golden Isles, as they say in the state of Georgia, they're really, it's a beautiful area. I highly recommend it if you're in the area.
Did you file?
So it's kind of a interesting topic. No, I did not file. I did try to pick up flight following, and I've had subsequent flights since that one. And every time Atlanta Tracon, and I think this may be happening in a lot of places, but Atlanta Tracon is on a skeleton crew.
Yeah.
And everybody, whenever I hear Atlanta VFR requests, it's unable, or we're not doing VFR requests, or whatever the case may be.
The really painful one on that is you get like a student pilot or somebody who does it all on the first call up, which is fine. There's an argument whether you should or not, but they give the whole spiel. It takes them a while because they're not terribly experienced at it. Feels like it ties up the frequency for 2 minutes, whether it's true or not, doesn't matter. And then they're like unable. And it's like,
yeah,
that is
yeah.
brutal.
So, and they kind of regularly gotten to the point where they're regularly broadcasting anybody calling for VFR requests. We're not doing it.
Wow.
And you know, they don't sound very busy, but here's the problem. If they're on this one controller was working 4 sectors. I heard him on 4 different frequencies.
Yeah.
I checked it out. If he accepts one VFR request, he's going to have 30. And when you're on a skeleton crew, I don't blame them for doing what they're doing. You know, so, you know, I thought about filing, but that's just adding to his, you know, what's the point? I listen to the all the different frequencies just to see if I could pick anything up. But no, I did not file. And that's just kind of until they end this government shutdown. It's, you know, it's going to continue to be this way, I'm afraid.
So what would you say to someone from a safety perspective that's flying in this environment now where it's the exact opposite of everything that we've advocated for and co-advocated for along with opposing bases and everybody else, where it's, you know, get flight following, be talking to somebody, don't hide in the shadows. They want to talk to you. It'll make your life better, not something to be feared. Now it's this thing where you're kind of just out there. So what are some strategies or recommendations you would have for, you can start with maybe just VFR only pilots or lower hour VFR pilots that maybe have been really good about getting flight following and all that, but now are in a position to not do that. What are some things that you would say to them in this environment if they happen to be near a metro center like that?
I have a couple of thoughts on that. One thing, whether you're on flight following or not, you always, and I don't care if you have 50 hours or 5,000 hours, it is our responsibility to see and avoid, period, end of story. So, and I haven't been in a cockpit with another pilot that doesn't have an EFB. Now, I'm not saying everybody does, and it's not, but that tool is very useful. Use it. And we have to give these controllers grace because they haven't been paid in a month, and their mortgages are due, their rent's due, whatever the case may be. And so the amount of pressure they have on themselves outside of work is bad, and inside work it's even worse. So I try to put myself in their shoes. I monitor. I it's one of the things that helps me pass the time in the plane when I'm out looking and flying over the same area. I like building mental pictures. I will listen to the Tracons. I've flown these routes enough to where I know the frequencies. I want to at least know what's coming at me and hear what they're saying. Just you got to keep your eyes open, keep your CSA up. Don't get lazy. Don't start playing on your phone. You've got to do your part and keeping your eyes out and watching. One quick, really funny story. I was going to try to cut through the Bravo, but obviously they weren't allowing that. And there was this Cherokee, and the tail number was very unique, but we were a conflict and I had to adjust course to go around him. We were at co-altitude. And I kind of felt like he was chasing me, because just watching him on the FB, I felt like he was coming after me, but he wasn't really. He was just doing maneuvers. And then when I came back 5 hours later, that same plane and I had intersecting courses, and I had to divert around him to get around him. And I thought, this guy's got it in for me. What's up?
Yeah.
So,
He's getting
anyway.
refueled Hacienda style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm gonna write that down. The
Yeah.
Hacienda plane. Yeah.
Well-
the ultimate time building flight.
One thing I want to add real quick is that it is also a great time, if you are a VFR only pilot, to really be familiarizing yourself with arrival and departure procedures at the major airports around you, so that you know what is happening. If you don't already know what is happening in space outside of the boundary of the airspace, and where people are angling in, and how traffic is being funneled, and just some generality. You don't have to become an expert on all this stuff if you're not ready for that, but just that's something that they did not teach me at all in my private pilot training, even though I was training right next to a very busy Charlie and all of that. So I would say, just ask, and this is another thing too, talk to more experienced pilots that fly out of the airports that you are flying out of, and say, hey, I understand this is going on. What are some things that I can do to be a little safer in this context, and to be more predictable in my flying, so that I'm helping them even when I can't talk to them.
Yeah. Knowing those arrival corridors is really key. If you tend to have an ADS-B map up during the day, that gives you a good idea, and you can see the 3 or 4 different ways that planes tend to arrive, and gives you that picture of what you should be aware of when you're in the plane. I want to underline what Ben said, though, which is make your best guess on the frequency you would be on if you're in flight following, and listen. And you're also ready in case you have an emergency. You're already on that frequency, and that's probably the person that can help you the fastest. It's also a way to hear when you're being pointed out to the other traffic, and you realize that, yes, you are the problem here. That happened fairly early in my training. I was down in Phoenix, and I caused a resolution advisory for a jet. I was legal. I was outside the Bravo, but he had to move around for me, and yeah. So be able to hear that like live as it's happening, and not just blissfully going along your way and not knowing that these jets had to move around for you, is really important.
One more comment from me, and Brian, more to your question, VFR pilots, low hour pilots. Here's what you do on your route of flight. If you see an airport, I know you're not instrument rated, but if you pull up an IFR chart, you will see the approach controller for that airport. That's your first clue on who to contact. ForeFlight
will give you the approach or center frequency, like in the frequency listings.
And a lot, there's ways to find those out. Is my point.
As long as it's a instrument airport, it'll
Right.
have that extra
So,
frequency.
but my overarching point is, I called up. I was leaving Jekyll Island, and I called up Jacksonville because there were several MOAs on my route of flight, and he had already told me he wasn't able to take any VFR requests. I said, "Can you just tell me if these MOAs are hot or cold?" He goes, "Yep, you're cold. Thank you."
Nice.
Just because you're not getting flight following doesn't mean you can't key up and just ask them a question.
Yep.
If it's going to help keep separation for them, they're going to appreciate that.
Yeah, just be like, hey, can I get a 2-digit squawk code?
77 what?
No, well, the other thing too, as you guys know, I've been preparing for the instrument written and, going headlong into all of that stuff. And, lo and behold, hey, there's this document called the Terminal Procedures publication. So, if you're really interested in understanding what's going on, download the Terminal Procedures and look.
That's Terp's Elf, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Brian, you mentioned your IFR written. Tell us what's going on with that.
Well, okay. I'll try to make it quick here. I haven't done any flying in the past week, but you know what I've done? I have studied my brain into some sort of porridge-like consistency. And by the way, when you guys are muted, I can't hear you laugh, and so it's kind of killing my whole vibe here.
I have a cough coming, so that's why I muted myself. I apologize.
It wasn't funny.
That was funny, and I'm unmuted.
And back to mute. No, but I have been studying. So,
is Sheppard Air your friend?
So one of our friends of the show, our friend Flint, he pointed this out to me. He said, "Last episode, you were pretty hard on Sheppard," and he said, "So what's happened?" Because I've been telling him about how I've been using Sheppard now, and I said, "Look, I've seen the light. Okay, I've seen the light. It's kind of when I was a kid, I didn't do very well in school. Can you imagine that? And my mother, who was a PhD of education, she understood learning and how to learn in school and the whole. She knew a lot about education, and she would just tell me. I would tell her about why I'm frustrated about the standardized tests or this and that and the other, and she said, you just have to play the game. This is. She didn't discredit my disdain for these methods or these means of measurement or these testing methodologies, or she understood that it was all kind of bogus, but she just kept saying, you got to play the game. And I kind of really didn't. And then I just didn't do very well in school. Here I am now in midlife, back at school, and in instrument training, by the way, instrument knowledge is, I don't know. It's like if somebody in the background has said, look, let's map every one of Brian's weaknesses in terms of learning, or let's figure out, let's take a profile of his entire life and everywhere that he's been just terrible at something, and then let's put it all into one thing. That's what this is. And so going through the material, shout out to Erica Gilbert and Gilbert Aviation and the class we've been in. It's been awesome. But it's not necessarily straight up preparing me for the written, although it does help. It sort of straddles maybe that as well as much as maybe some things that will help for the oral examination and all that stuff. And just to get acclimated to understanding all these things and be able to have questions answered, which is great. But when you get down to the murky waters of the written test, it takes me right back to high school, where I cannot believe this, how bad this is, how ill-fitted this is, and how this is a joke, in terms of just a measurement of actual knowledge. And so I had been really determined in this altruistic way to really learn this stuff, which I have been. But in terms of taking the test, I realized I had to cave, go the Sheppard Air way, and oh my goodness, it has been wildly illuminating for me and super helpful. So I'm back on. I'm on the Sheppard train, Flint. Talking to you here. So I'm telling the audience here. I'm back on the Sheppard train. I'm not talking down on Sheppard. But the thing that really drives me crazy is how they give you explanations of how, on the FAA test, it tells you to reference figure 71. You have to memorize that they've told you to look at the wrong figure.
That's right.
And that you have to go and it's actually figure 24. You know what I mean?
You shared a couple of pictures of kind of the notes in Sheppard Air, and the one that I like is basically in the previous version of this question there was enough information for you to solve it. Now that information's missing, so there's actually no way to solve this and know what that altimeter setting should be. You just have to know it.
Yeah,
and that's wild.
So Tedder, there's a new T-shirt. IFR written. Play the game.
Play the game. Or look at another figure, not this one. But it's
unsolvable.
Anyway. Yeah. So I'm going through it. I'm definitely in it, and I think anybody that's done this, I have a newfound. I've always respected people that have gotten through this, but boy, there's something about the psychology of really this moment that I'm in with it, where it's bubbling, it's starting to kind of curdle, and you've got to capture this momentum you have at the right time to then take the test. By the way, a shout out to Captain Todd. He just got his done.
Congrats to Captain Todd.
Nice.
And so anyway, Sheppard Air, I'm sorry for the things I said.
Brian, Brian, know that it only gets once you pass the written, it's only easier from there.
It has to be.
Yeah,
it has to be, because then it's actually dealing in reality. So that I can't wait to be dealing with actual reality, because there is nothing about that in this written test. It is so annoying. And then,
but you will get helmet fires in your own airplane, just so you know.
And I'm ready for that. I can't wait for that, because then it's just okay, great. But one final thing I'll say is, my wife, who's an 8th grade middle school science teacher, one area of this that maybe you guys had this, Ben, maybe you had this experience with instrument where it's regurgitating some things from private that you haven't really thought about, and then you wonder if you ever really knew it in the first place. You know what I mean? Or it's like, I knew it enough to pass a test before, but then why am I? And for whatever reason, the compass errors thing has just got me all kind of turning over on myself. And I was telling my wife, who teaches 8th grade middle school science, I was like, this is one thing I just keep getting so confused, and I keep getting this all tripped up. And she goes, okay, well, show it to me. And she learns it in about 8 seconds. And she draws a little diagram and goes, here, like, idiot, like, this is not, this is so easy. So it's really insult to injury for people like me that are barely cognitively functioning on this earth to when somebody who's not even a pilot can just walk up and be like, oh yeah, that's super easy, here's the answer, idiot. Combined with the shortcomings of the test, it's been a journey. So anyway, that's been what I've been doing the past week.
And did I see that there may be some consideration to jumping over to the dark side, my side, with Garmin Pilot?
All right. I don't want to take too much time on this, but I just want to say, yes, I'm considering this. I've got about 28 days to lock this thing down, because I'm not going to pay to go into the abyss of uncertainty. But I will tell you this: I'm not going to get an iPhone. That's what I can tell you. And I don't have enough backup for a flight to do. I feel fine flying VFR with an iPad, and then if it goes out, okay, right, I will survive.
I am going to put this offer on the table. I will fly up to Nashville, and I will spend a day with you going through Garmin Pilot with you. If
you're going to have to, because I've already I've already found it to be as obtuse as the FAA written, but I'll come around.
You'll come around. That's going to be quicker transition than the IFR written.
All right.
Wow,
all right, Ted.
That'll leave me as the only 4-flight user out of the 4 of us. The three of us and
never
Mark.
thought
Yeah.
I thought the day would never come, but
Yeah.
maybe
Go
we'll
figure.
get over it. You start flying, you know, a little heavier airplanes. Maybe the government pilot will come around.
Maybe 1321 someday.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
Ted, what have you been up to?
I had a bunch of things this week. So I kind of wrote down some notes. We're going to get into something. I was talking with Erica. We'll come back and get into that. But the first was, as I said, I was listening, hoping that I could hear Dominic when he was on the ground and I was flying past. Earlier in the week, I had heard my friend who is on his student solo cross country. I was able to say hello to him on CTAF, even though we were 100 miles apart. You know, you're in the air. So I just tagged on the end of my call, and he's like, yeah, didn't have a conversation, just proof, like, I got you, you know.
Wow.
So that was fun. And then the third one, two of these were in the same flight. The third one was a friend of mine. She'd said that she was going to be out flying, and I saw her tail number, 222 Sierra Charlie, and our path was going to intersect just with like 4,000 feet difference. And so when it did, I didn't know if she saw me when she did, but so I quickly just spun the plane around and dipped my wing basically straight down and got a picture of her. But the camera was in, like, every mode was wrong in the camera before I could get back to photo mode. So there's just like a speck of her plane in there. But she got pictures aimed up at me. So, you know, she was paying attention there. I just thought that was fun. It's like everybody's out flying on the same day, sort of fun time. I was amused because I was put onto a really long downwind at a towered airport, and there was a bunch of traffic. I was going to be number 3, and then he's like, cancel that. It's like, I'm going to put you behind a Lancer because he's faster. It's like, yeah, he is. And so as soon as the Lancer passed me, I immediately turned into him, like enough that it wouldn't be obvious to him that I'm aiming for him. But it was a really narrow base because I knew from 3+ miles out, I could get right behind him and he's going to be off the runway before I'm even close. And sure enough, it was. His approach speed is like 120, and mine is 60 or 70. So it was kind of fun. Like there are not many cases where you can really do that, because if it's something like a 7.3, you don't want to be in the wake turbulence of it. But like a Lancer, I knew I could get away with that. So
yeah,
that was fun. Next one was I was coming back in from that flight, and I'd heard reports of a party balloon, and then I saw in a different location, but possibly the same thing, realized I'm turning base to final, and it's right next to my wing, and it's dark. It's after sunset. That's a Chinese lantern. Because it's lit up and it's just like hovering there.
With an actual flame in it?
With a flame in it, yeah. It was so weird to see. And by the time I taxied back, basically right to that landing into the airport, I saw it from the ground too. I was like, wow, that's crazy. Like, I don't know.
I can hear the FA. So Mr. Flysport, how did your wing catch on fire? Well, you see, there was this Chinese lantern out there.
Yeah. Hey, Ben,
but you aimed for it. Yeah.
Ben, just be glad you didn't fly over it.
With my leaky fuel caps.
Yeah,
exactly. So I don't know. I've seen party balloons before in the air, but to see a Chinese lantern, that was a new one. Final thing on that flight. This was the same flight of turning around for my friend and the Lancer and everything else. I was flying past PDX. I was going from south to north. I was going to go further north than back home. And I looked at my wings and to check my fuel, because I've got tubes so you can see the actual fuel levels in it. Okay, this one is empty. There's like one drop at the very bottom of it. This one is either full or empty. There's no level in it. It's unusual that it gets completely full, but it is possible for that to happen. And if you look at my track, I basically was making a 90-degree turn toward home at that point, because I have no confidence that I have fuel at this point. I should have a full wing. I have no idea though. So it was, I turned and I slipped the plane to keep that wing really high, and I started seeing fuel come out into the other wing, and they started to level out. And so I continued on my trip. But that's why we have this shirt that says it's always fuel.
Yeah.
How would you like to be in that situation and say, well, I was pretty sure that wing was full,
It's like, it's my saying. I'm the one who made it up.
but this is why it exists, right?
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
those situations, you make that assumption, and I should have plenty of fuel. I should have a full wing, but I can't prove it at this point. So anyway, thought that was interesting.
Very nice.
I'm going to have one of you read from Erica here, but when I was taking off, we just had it used to be called a Pineapple Express. Now they call it an atmospheric river, which is basically a jet stream full of water and it's warm because it's coming from near the equator, and it points toward Portland, Seattle, and it just dumps a ton of rain over a few day period. And this was right after that. Of course, you can't fly in that; it's miserable. But I was flying after that, and I noted I was setting my altimeter from ATIS, and it was 3048. And I was like, "Wow, that is a high number."
Yeah.
I think I've seen in the 305s, but it was still a high number. And I thought,
that's
especially
big.
because it was just following this big low pressure zone of all this water coming through, I thought that was interesting. And so I reached out to Erica, our favorite Erica, and she gave a bit of an explanation. So one of you two want to read this?
Brian, why don't you go ahead and I'll take the next feedback.
All right. Erica says, we talked about that briefly yesterday on a live weather course I'm running. It's called Weather Ready Pilot, and we have people from all over the country in the course. One of the places we are likely to see a lot of instability is along a cold front, as the cold air moves in, usually pushed by a low pressure system to the north. It acts like a snowplow, forcing up the warmer, more moist air. The movement of the jet stream creates pressure systems and moves air masses, which creates fronts. A jet stream trough creates low pressure, and the back end of the jet stream trough is moving dry, cold air southbound. On the back side of the cold front, we will see a high pressure system created by the ridge in the jet stream. There you can expect to see the weather that is associated with stable air, often clear skies or stratiform clouds, if any. Light winds, generally good weather. However, there might be poor visibility as the sinking air holds down any pollution or particulate matter in the air. There might also be some low-level turbulence until you get above the haze layer.
Yeah, thanks, Erica. She sent me more information, but I wanted to kind of make it concise for that. It was a great, I don't know, I never think about the jet stream as being the cause of weather like that. I don't know. I just always think of these like blobs of high and low pressure,
Right.
and somehow they magically move. But to think about it in terms of the jet stream, especially on the West Coast, that makes a lot of sense. And I really appreciated that.
And on the southeast, they are just blobs moving around, floating around in space. But
Yeah. And she was right. It was very stable. And an example of how you could see that was in these low-lying tiny valleys. They'd be covered in fog, and just completely covered in fog, and everywhere else was clear. And it's because that super cold air is stuck there, and there's no wind that's moving it around.
Right.
And and there's enough moisture to do that. It's just one of those great days of interesting weather. I didn't see as much of an inversion as I've seen before, where it's like you hit 3,000 feet and all of a sudden it goes from brown to clear, like just when you cross through the layer. It wasn't like that, but the rest of that stuff held pretty true.
now you alluded earlier in the podcast about how this feedback relates to something about what Brian said. Do you not remember that?
No, I don't remember that
Okay.
now.
Well, we'll just keep going then.
It's information whiskey. We've got whiskey.
It is. That's right. Well, we got some feedback from one of our listeners, Chris H., and this is to set this up. we last episode we celebrated Mosaic Day, I think is what we were calling it. Ted flying a 152, and it was episode 152. And this is in response to that episode. Chris H. writes, "Hi, guys. I was just listening to episode 152 in your discussion about flying different planes. I have a little bit of a counter view for you. We like counter views. Ted touched on some of these a little bit. I obtained my PPL in November 2022 at 44 years old. I am a low to mid-time pilot with about 500 hours. Our club gives us access to 3 different planes, a 182, a PA-28A, and a 172. So for those of you keeping score, it's a Skylane, a Cherokee, and a Skyhawk. I find switching to different planes and flying them regularly, along with the 152 every so often, really drives home the point of making sure you are using your checklist properly. I couldn't agree with this more. I found," he continues, "I found when I was predominantly just flying one plane, I was more susceptible to build bad habits because I became too comfortable. I've got 1,200 hours in my 182. I can't imagine what bad habits I probably have built up." He continues, "Landing at book speeds and slow flight, or learning how to be proficient doing approaches in multiple airplanes with different avionics has forced me to build a higher level of understanding." I think that's fantastic. So he finishes up. "So I think with the proper training and utilization of checklists and with some investment of time flying different airplanes, maybe help make you a better pilot." And he goes on to say, I also always use Checkmate checklists. So shout out to Barry. I too always use Checkmate checklists. So I think that's excellent feedback. It's you're keeping yourself sharp by flying different things. What do y'all think?
I completely agree. He said something that I was trying to say and failed, which is when you have a stupid amount of time in one plane, like Ben and I do, and Brian too, actually, your habits are completely built in, and there are a few good things about that, and there are definitely some bad things about that. It also makes it harder for you to learn in new planes. Balancing your flying between multiple planes, not just 1 hour a year in something else and 300 in your own plane, but actually having a little bit of balance between those, I think is huge. And yeah,
It speaks to the value of a club for a low or mid-time pilot. Also,
Yeah.
100%.
That's an experience I wish that was more available to me. But it just, the reason why we fly the planes that we have so much is because they are the planes that we have.
yeah,
Right.
And so there's that. Love the idea of mixing it up in a club environment. That's awesome. Really appreciate the feedback, Chris.
Yep. Well done.
yeah.
I have always said if my partner decides to sell the airplane, I mean, the club, I'm not even going to look at buying another airplane. I'm just going to join a club. And for that reason, large part of that reason. So
What's the name of the club that AJ is in?
LGE Flying Club.
LGE, that's right. Yeah.
Yep.
Sorry, I just wanted to mention that because they're at your field, and it's like, if you didn't have your plane, you'd probably join LGE because they've got.
I feel like I
planes.
have as much time in their airplanes as some of their members do. So
Yeah.
We're always helping each other out, ferrying planes back and forth. But
Yeah.
I want to remind everybody, please, if you don't mind, pull out your device, go to Apple Podcasts, and leave us a 5-star review. Listen, I'm not above bribing. We'll send you a sticker. You just tell us, and we need the help here.
Yeah.
We could really use your help here. Feedback. We always want feedback.
Yeah, we've been getting some good stuff lately. And I just want to keep the train going because that's the future. Please hit us up with ideas, thoughts, opinions,
Complaints.
No, not so much that.
No, I mean you can complain about me.
Yeah.
I'm not comfortable until somebody's complaining about me.
Yeah.
So, or saying, berating my landings or something. That's just I'm not comfortable until we get to that point.
No, but again, we just really appreciate everybody. It's a group effort, and I'm super excited about having a fly-in on the calendar again. There's something very, I don't know, it just feels good because it's sort of instead of us talking into the ether all the time, it's like, hey, we're gonna see each other soon, so this is cool. So yeah, March 13th through the 15th, Bentonville, Arkansas, and it's gonna be awesome. So go ahead and get your reservations or do whatever you want to do. But always remember, make sure that it's something where you can cancel that reservation and it doesn't become pressure for you.
Yes.
In terms of attending or not attending. And honestly, there's enough hotels and things around Bentonville to where you could show up with nothing.
Yep.
Worst case scenario, Ben has rented us a giant complex with it seems like it's kind of like a slaughterhouse in the back, but I'm sure it's fine. So you can stay back there.
Look, you gave me a budget. I did the best I could with what I had.
On the feedback angle, I really appreciate it because there's 3 of us and there's literally dozens of you, and it helps widen the viewpoint, so you're not just hearing from us 3.
Yeah, good point.
And we also get feedback that doesn't get read on air. People that want to just give us their experience and are just telling us about themselves. And we had one from Mike Sierra Golf recently. Yep. And he was Mark Sierra Golf actually. And love those to learn about our community and to learn where people are and what they're flying and what their experience is. So even if you're not doing something that you want read on air, just tell us your story. That's one of the things I really like is knowing who's listening, what their experience level is. And especially if you live on the West Coast, I love knowing that.
Yeah.
And we've even just recently got people are sending in their words of wisdom suggestions. So Ben, people are looking to take over.
I saw that one, and I've got another one that's not. We'll hit that one next week. This one is just so apropos for right now because Brian, earlier you alluded to that we have listeners that are on the fence, that are thinking about starting their aviation journey. Yep. And this one kind of hit home with me personally with what I've got going on. And so it's a little bit more in serious nature, but I think it's really good. All right, here we go. You are never going to feel ready because ready isn't a feeling. It's a decision.
Love it.
Yeah. Signing off, episode 153 of the Midlife Pilot Podcast. We appreciate everybody joining us and listening to us. Thank you. Good night. Goodbye, everybody.